I think let's get going. Once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. Thanks for joining us for this January TBC Power Hour. Trimble Business Center and Trimble Reality Capture platform service, showing you how the combination of this gets you into that reality capture world. With me today, I've got 4 people instead of 3. Sorry, we didn't add you in there, Gregor, in the list of presenters, as you'll just be in the background, so that's all good. With me is Nathan and Kyle. Just a quick introduction of everyone. My name is Albert Williford, Technical Product Manager, looking after all the TBC go-to-market material and training material, what you see. Next up, Nathan.
Yeah, thanks, Albert. Happy to be here. Excited to be talking about Reality Capture platform service today and the connection into TBC and beyond in the broader Trimble ecosystem. Primarily responsible for reality capture, mobile mapping, cloud, building construction, and how we kind of tie all these solutions together to help get them out into the market for you guys. So excited to be talking today. Thanks for having us on, Albert.
Thanks so much. Kyle, over to you.
Yeah, hey, Kyle Michelle, product manager with the Trimble Reality Capture team, mostly looking over the hardware. So any of our X series platform scanners, but also tying into the software. So happy to be here to talk about laser scanning and reality capture with you all today.
Thanks so much. Table of contents, just quickly, we're going to take you through some overview reminders of what Trimble Reality Capture platform service is. We'll just look at why TBC and how TBC ties into this whole ecosystem. Looking at how to publish data directly from Trimble Business Center into Trimble Connect that eventually gets you into the Reality Capture platform service. We'll do a live demo of that as well for you guys. We'll have time for some questions. That's why we have the whole panel sitting here so they can answer any and everything you want to ask. So don't be afraid, shoot away. So please use the Q&A option in your Zoom toolbar. The chat is something we'll keep an eye on, but we would like you guys to please use the Q&A. We can record those questions, and if we don't get to answer all of them, we will always be able to reach out to you after this session, and the guys can get you some feedback, because I know there's usually more questions than time. So please add them in there and we can get back to you if you need anything. We'll go through some of the resources in TBC where you can find what you need, and then we'll get done with this for today. I am launching a quick poll, so if you get into your toolbar with the poll questions, we always appreciate the live feedback. So guys, please, it's going to take you about a minute to go through these few questions. It's always good for us to get feedback from our clients and see what they require, what their needs are, and what they like or don't like about our product. So we appreciate it if you guys can pull that out for us. With that said, I think I've covered everything I wanted to do. Here we go. And then off to you, Nathan. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Albert. And yeah, there's a few animations through here. So maybe, I don't know if you could give me the access to kind of click through, but I can just talk through it, whatever works. So, you know, before we kind of get just straight into the nuts and bolts of the Trimble Reality Capture platform service and Trimble Connect and how it talks to TBC and all of these different things, I always find it really helpful to kind of set the scene, right? Go back and understand a bit of the story, the why, you know, what are we doing here and what are we trying to solve, right? Gregor, myself, Kyle, Albert, we spent a lot of time talking to people like yourselves on the call around the world on different job sites, construction sites, vertical building construction, horizontal infrastructure, civil construction, general surveying, you know, a variety of different projects. And we've seen this kind of pattern emerge across all these different works, right? Very, very loosely here, right? But a pattern nonetheless. And I would say that a lot of these projects typically start with an idea, and to help that idea grow, you need a site survey, you need logistics, you need to understand what that lay of the land looks like. And so a project starts kind of in that phase, right? Trying to understand what's going on. And then it goes into the next phase, which is that design and coordination. So taking that data, trying to then design this idea of, okay, what are we going to build? What are we going to construct? And then finally, we go out into the field and we execute it, we build. And it typically follows this bit of a waterfalling process. But the reality is it's much more iterative. It's much more interconnected. There's a lot of people involved in these projects, right? It's not the data that flows and creates our communities, builds our bridges, builds our buildings. but it's the people, right? And some of those people are out in the field. Some of those people are in the office. Some of those people are in Denver, Colorado, and some of them are in London, England, right? And sometimes they have to work together and collaborate despite not being in the same location. And that's really hard to do, right? That's really hard to build trust and community and really understand what's happening in the office when you're in the field, to understand what's happening in the field when you're in the office. And when that happens, that miscommunication, that's where we tend to see the budget overrun, the schedule overrun. That's when we tend to see that kind of adversarial nature of construction start to kind of pour out sometimes. And so there's a lot of ways that people out in the field and in the office have tried to overcome this in the past, right? One of those ways has been paper plans and marking them up out in the site trailer and trying to convey, hey, what's been done in green, what's to come in pink, or what's an issue, highlighting RFIs and marking them out. But we all know that those paper plans, even though they're literally on every single job site in the world right now, they have their own problems, right? The second they're off the printer, they're out of date. And so there's other ways that we try and get around this. We take photos of the job site with beautiful little situations like this one here. And we send those off in emails and threads. But the problem is that, sometimes that person you're emailing, well, they're not checking their email that day, or they're on holiday or PTO or something like that. And now this email is buried in a heap of other emails, right? And it's not coming with context, right? From this photo, I don't know what floor it's on. I don't know what building, what area of the project. I don't know the context of all of these things. I get the photo, but I don't understand where it sits in relation to everything else on my plate. And then finally, we've tried to, come up with these ideas of the Google Drive, the file transfer platform, the FTPs, with the base form of initially with Trimble Connect, right? How do we help simply get data to and from the office and field as effectively as possible? The problem with that, though, is that it's been limited, right? It's been a bit more of a push than a pull. Very heavily focused on design data out to the field so far, but kind of lacking that idea of how do we bring the context of what's happening in the field back to those other non-technical stakeholders, right? And so that's really what we're trying to do here with the Trimble Reality Capture platform service. Number one is taking that idea of reality capture that's so valuable, so contextual, right? But today, really difficult to use. You need a dedicated laptop, a computer with the best specs to be able to visualize all that immense data. You need software, dedicated software to be able to open it and view it and interrogate it, ask questions. You need all of this kind of technical background that's really limiting your ability, even if you buy into reality capture, it's really limiting your ability to share that value with your client, with your stakeholder, with your partners, trade partners, right? And so that's really what we wanted to do here with the reality capture platform service. So if you go to the next slide here, Albert, thanks. That's really what we're doing, is taking Trimble Connect, which has really become this nucleus for the project in so many ways of sharing data back and forth, being able to comment, annotate, collaborate with your stakeholders in a really simple web environment, and now bringing real world reality capture data to that platform, right? So now through something as simple as an internet connection, whether you're on a MacBook or a gaming laptop, on your iPhone or an iPad in the field, doesn't matter. As long as you have that connectivity, anybody can go in and access this data, right? And now you're sharing that single view. You've got the real world, you've got the design intent. You're able to see those two things come together in one place, where you're then able to make more informed decisions, ask better questions, and honestly get away from this kind of finger pointing of whose fault is what, but rather see point blank what's happening and go and get into that next step, which is what do we do about it, right? That's really what this is all about in the early days of the reality capture platform service. The key thing here is that we're trying to really break down the barriers of who gets access to this, right? Reality capture is only as good as the number of people you can share it with, the value that extends out to, right? If you're only able to share that knowledge within such a small subset of your clients, of your partners, that knowledge is not getting out to the people it needs to, right? So by breaking down those barriers, making it easier to view, simpler, more intuitive, we're expanding the value of that offering, right? And therefore expanding the value that you can offer as a service provider, expanding the value of the team that you have when it comes to that collaboration and trust kind of building piece, right? And the key thing here is that being built on top of Trimble Connect means that you immediately have access to all of those other applications and workflows that tie into Trimble Connect, right? And that's exactly what we'll talk about with Albert and TBC today, is that all of that amazing work you can do in TBC flows into Trimble Connect and brings even more value to the platform, right? And similarly, that data can flow downstream to your project management workflows. So things like Project Site, where I can track RFIs and link real world reality capture data into my RFI process and Project Site. And then myriad other examples like SketchUp and Tekla, and so many others, right? That's the power of Trimble Connect, is branching off into all these other places, right? But now you can bring that reality capture data and provide so much more value than you were able to before. Next slide. So just as a quick reminder, we'll play the video here in a second. I don't know if the sound will work, Albert. There may be a setting in Zoom we have to turn on here for it, but just as a quick reminder, level set, this is what the platform is. Super quick, a little overview video of exactly what that looks like. The sound settings might just be in Zoom directly, Albert, but we'll see if it. That's okay. I'll talk through the visuals and you can all just in the background pretend that you're listening to the most interesting, exotic, modern music. There we go. Awesome. Thanks, Albert. It was a little loud at first, but hopefully everybody's eardrums are okay. There we go. Cool. Cool. So I just like that video because I think it encapsulates everything that we were just talking about in such a great little snapshot, a great preview of the platform here. And don't worry, we'll jump into a live demo in just a second. We can answer kind of some more live questions as we go through it. But that's the reality capture platform service, right? Is really extending Trimble Connect and bringing it to the forefront of your workflows. So if we go to the next slide here, I'd just like to kind of outlay a few different scenarios here, right? Go back to that project example that we were talking about, that waterfalling process where we're kind of pushing data from one thing to the next. Imagine now that you have the reality capture platform service and you're able to tie in those issues that you're spotting with that reality capture data up in the top left there, and you're able to flow those issues that you're tracking into your actual RFI process that your project managers use, right? They don't know reality capture. They don't know Trimble Business Center. They don't necessarily know any of these tools or any of this technology, but they know the value of what they're seeing. And now in this simple workflow, they're able to tag that real world data into their controls, into their issue tracking, so that they can provide much more reliable information as to why that RFI exists, why that change order exists, help move that process along. Right? When it comes to communication, we go back to that example earlier where not all of these stakeholders have that technical background. So I've seen so many times where we've got this kind of, inspection happening in the bottom there where we're trying to find these different, issues out in the field and convey that with the team. And so what ends up happening is we end up taking screenshots of the data and we send an email thread with 30 screenshots to try and get that point across. Well, now you can simply tag those stakeholders in the data and share that in a much more easy, intuitive experience where they're getting the full value of the data as opposed to just a series of photos. And then finally, again, being in that Trimble Connect platform, it's not just the reality capture data. It's the model, the design. If you're coming from the buildings world, it's the survey data. You see those green dots, that's our field link data coming in. So you can see those survey points, right? So it's kind of giving you that legitimate all-in-one picture of what's happening on your project. And you can see in that project workflow, we really augmented that kind of process and built in more trust, built in more collaboration by accessing and leveraging this real world data. Go ahead to the next slide, please. Awesome. So I won't read through all of this stuff, but I really do just like to kind of highlight these key value drivers. We've talked about democratized access for all, the value of that Trimble ecosystem, right? Tying into all of our different platforms, all of our different workflows, giving access to, your non-technical stakeholders who want to work in a different, professional application, like a project site, right? Or a Tekla or a SketchUp or TBC, whatever that might be. They're able to tie into that in the way that suits them best, right? But still getting that value of the data underneath it. Most importantly, obviously, coming from Trimble, we really pride ourselves in the fidelity of our data, the survey grade reality capture processes that we kind of promote here, not only on the hardware side and how we capture the data, but of course what we do with that data, right? In Trimble Business Center, fidelity of the data is so important, and that's no different to how we approach it in the cloud. So unlike some other solutions that are out there that kind of manipulate that data, maybe mesh the data, alter that survey data in some way, shape, or form to get it up into the cloud and make it visual, we don't do that. We're holding that survey grade quality, that accuracy, the precision, the raw data coming into the platform out of the scanner is exactly what you're able to see here in the platform. We're not manipulating any of that information. Every point that you see in the cloud has its own individual X, Y, and Z. And it's actually bringing that quality and that trust with it, right? One big thing that I love to talk about here, though, is that it's not just Trimble hardware. It doesn't just need to be the X9 or the SX12 or the MX90, right? It can be. Those are great platforms. But if you have, other terrestrial scanners, or you have a drone, or you have a mobile LiDAR solution, doesn't matter. We support all of those different sensors as well in a variety of ways. And Albert will cover some of that, how we can go through TBC and expand, the support because of what TBC supports. But we also just simply support industry standard formats like LAS, LAZ, E57. So you can go straight to Trimble Connect with any of those other pieces of hardware, even something as simple as an iPhone, capturing a LiDAR scan with your iPhone Pro or iPad, right? All of that data comes into one place. And that's really key here for us really, truly trying to democratize access to that data. Go ahead to the next one, Albert. Cool. And one last thing that I'll shout out before we jump on into the TBC side is that the free preview is live currently. So everything that we're going to show is something that all of you on the call can go access today. All you need is an existing live Trimble Connect account. And we'll show you exactly what to go do. But all you have to do is go in and turn on the Reality Capture extension, and you'll see that you automatically have 10 gigabytes of free storage to get playing with, to try it out, to throw in your own data and really see how it works. And then you can grow from there. So just want to call that out. Go ahead and try it out after the webinar today. You all have access to it so long as you have an active Trimble Connect subscription today. Cool. Thanks.
Thanks, Nathan. So let's quickly jump into all the stuff that you can do once you have that Connect and Reality Capture setup. TBC is where you can start off with your data, and you already have that going. So a lot of people on the call would be familiar with the Trimble Connect connected workflow that we have set up in TBC. So serving the data in the field, doing the designs in the office, sending it back to the field using Connect. That is something that we've built upon. And now we just add in that little bit where you can actually now also publish data into the Reality Capture platform. So using this, expanding on this is where we're going. So you'll publish designs in the cloud, obviously make the designs, user define it in the field, send finished jobs back into the cloud. Then you got an option to manage and view fieldwork in the cloud, download the jobs from the cloud into TBC. And then from there is what we would like to see once you've done the download, is that we now give you the option to actually do something with it in TBC. So let me stop sharing this quickly. No, I don't have to, I just have to jump out of this. Here we go. And we drop that down. And then we go into TBC. So let's just switch off everything for now. So in TBC, we'll just get a blank project. And if you want to import, you'll see the new Connect workspace button. If you haven't utilized it yet, this is your direct link into Trimble Connect. So simply click on that. It will open up your connected workspace window for you. And as you can see over here, we've got all the different projects that I am a part of, that I've created. And that's all linked to your TID. So if you sign into your TID at the top right there in TBC, you'll see that little icon. That's where you can log into your TID. And this brings you into all this. So tying into what we did at Dimensions, where we brought this up a little bit, if I go into this Dimensions folder, you will see we have two options in here. You've got jobs and you've got files. So files would be, as Nathan mentioned, your LAZ, your IFC files, your other common file types that you get and you want to find. That is just your file repository over there. Job files is actual files that was uploaded from Trimble Connect. So this is where you can see what was done in the field. And if you want to import that, all you have to do is you can see the guys can actually tag it as well to say field work complete. So in the office, you can see what the guys are still in progress with, what the guys have completed, and you can decide to download that. For this example, you simply have to click and just click on import. That will then start the download and import the data directly into TBC. It will take whatever the job file information is that was set up in Trimble Access, coordinate system, Joy, if there was a site calibration, everything that has been set up there, you will be able to find imported that way through TBC. So once you've done that, it takes about 5 minutes because this is a SX12 data set. So this was done around the Westminster campus in Colorado, in Denver, and that takes about 5 minutes to download. I think there's about 8 or 9 stations that we set up around the campus to scan them in. So just to save time and not to take up everybody looking at the screen. Once that import has been done, this is what you will see, and I'll switch that on. You will then find all your data imported into TBC. Why we like to see that is obviously you can start seeing all your raw data. If you go into 3D view, there we go. We'll be able to see that's the campus that was scanned. So you can see we did that. And if I switch on the raw data, just to give you an idea, now you have the option to correct your data, see what's mistaken, fix up what's needed, and you can get that ready. Point cloud data is obviously very nice, but if we don't segment it and we don't classify it, it can be very cumbersome. It can be a large point cloud and you might not need everything for your project. Or it will be easier to work with different specific regions in TBC. So once we go into our point clouds module, let's see if I can find it here because now it's hidden behind this. Sorry guys, let me just quickly go there so I can actually go to point clouds. There we go. If you go into your point clouds, you'll now have the option to go to classify the point cloud. That you get a few options in. So it doesn't matter if it's aerial data or if it's terrestrial scanner data. Just make sure you choose the correct option because that will have a different algorithm running in the background to classify your data. And then once you've done that, these are the different regions that we will generate. So if I then close this out, because that takes about another 2 or 3 minutes to get done. If I go to region color, there we go. And there we have our classified point cloud. So now it's easy to work with a specific region. So if you're only looking for the ground, you simply have to switch that on and you can just work with that. If you want to see all the high vegetation, see the trees, that's something you can do easily and so forth, poles and those kind of things. So it makes it easier to work with the data once you have it classified into different regions. That's all great, but what do you do with it now? In TBC, you now have the option to go and publish scan data. So this would allow you to publish your point cloud, but also your station setups. So in TBC, if you go into scan stations, you have the option to do a new station view. What that gives you is a physical view of what the scanner, where it stood, or the SX, stood, the image it was taken, the pano that was taken. Let me just switch them on because that'll help if it's actually switched on. There we go. So there we go. I'll switch off the point cloud. And this again gives you a good visual of what was done. So you can see the image, you can zoom in, and you can define what was happening on site. So this gives you a nice clear visual of what was on site when the guys did the scan and how it was measured with the point cloud. If I switch it on, overlaying it. So you can actually do measurements in here directly if you want to as well. That's great in TBC, but if you would like to share that with a client to also be able to see this, then we have the option now for you to do it using the publish scan data. So you can publish not only the point cloud, but all these panos from the specific scan stations that you did. So if you want to do that, simply go to publish data. You would give it a name. I'll just type in something here because I've already done it for Nathan in the project I shared to him. You simply choose the project you want to do. And now you have to select what do you want to send to the cloud. So if I go there, I can simply go and select all my scan data. And I can also go and add all these banners if I want to do that. So as you can see, we now have 11 point cloud regions that will be published into my project, as well as stations with panoramas. There will be 10 stations. So once that is all done, you simply click on publish. This took me 4 to 5 minutes for the publishing to be done into Trimble Connect, the upload. And once that is done, it took another 10 to 15 minutes for Trimble Connect just to publish and work with that data to make it visible as a 3D image. And Nathan, I'm going to stop sharing and then you can show the guys what that looked like. So I'll stop my sharing if I can stop sharing. There we go. And then you can take over with yours.
Perfect. Great, cool. So everybody can see my screen, I hope. And as you can see, this is the exact project that Albert was just showing. And through the power of movie magic, it's kind of like a TV cooking show, right? We've just got it ready to go. But like Albert said, it's about 5 minutes to upload and then maybe about 5 to 10 minutes for that tiling process. That's kind of all that's happening in the background here up in the web. Again, not manipulating that raw data, just putting it into our visible format here in the Trimble Connect 3D web viewer. So I'm running this on a MacBook. You can see my Google Chrome up at the top. So nothing fancy here by any means. But I get all the tools of the Trimble Connect platform with all of the data that Albert was just showing. So in this case, I can come in to our data or to our solar farm here at the Westminster office, and I can actually go in and turn on those classes that Albert was just showing, right? So this is why TBC is such a valuable part of that workflow, is that I can come in and I can take all that work that we were doing in TBC and leveraging those classes to now share that with my clients, right? That's such a valuable part of this workflow, is that not only do I get that value in the office when I'm preparing my reports or doing my inspections, but I can actually share that with my client. So for instance, if I wanted to share this data set with a client and say, hey, look at our solar farm or something, I don't want them to see all these cars. So I'm going to turn those off. And I don't want them to see the trees. So I'm going to turn all that off. And you know what? Maybe I don't even want the ground, right? So I can go in and turn a variety of these classes off and kind of leave it in at this point to this data. And then I'm going to turn the RGB values back on because it's a bit more intuitive for the untrained eye. I don't know why this is exactly what I want to show, but maybe this is what I want to show, right? You can imagine there's maybe other classes that you'd want to kind of share with your clients, things like that. The beauty is all I have to do here, I'm going to move my Zoom window. My face was in the way. This is as simple as it is to share with a stakeholder, right? It's like you're tagging somebody in a Facebook post. That's how easy it is to share this data with a non-technical stakeholder, with a client, with anybody. The one caveat, they need to be a part of the Trimble Connect project, okay? But they could do that with a free license. So your client, your subcontractor, whoever you're working with, they don't need to be paying for a Trimble Connect to be able to get this access, right? They just need a free license, and then you just need to add them into the project. You can add them in simply as a viewer, right? So they have no access to downloading the data or anything like that. So you can control everything that you need, or you can share that data out with your client. So for instance, I'm going to say, this is Power Hour, and we're going to say parking lot, and then I'm going to share this with Albert. Okay, I can even tag it if I want and say demo. So here I can do a variety of things, right? I can give it a whole comment section. I can really tie in, maybe I'm seeing a mistake. Maybe I want to, really point Albert to a specific view or topic or something like that. You know what? In fact, maybe I want to actually take a measurement here. So I'm going to come back into this data for a second, and I'm going to turn back on the ground, and I can take a measurement here. and link that in my view as well. So let's jump in here. Maybe I want to take a measurement of, the height here of the solar panel. So I'm going to take that dimension there, and now when I save that over to Albert, Albert's going to get an email right now in his inbox, and this is exactly what he's going to see. He's going to see an email with a little thumbnail and a link jumping him into Trimble Connect. So again, he doesn't need anything other than a free license and to be a part of the project. And now he's going to get an email with the exact details that I want him to see. The best part, all of that segmenting of the point cloud, all of that, refining of the view, the measurement that I've taken, all of these things is exactly what he's going to see when he clicks the link. So imagine now you're sharing that with a client, an owner, somebody who has no idea what a point cloud is. They don't know where this data is saved. They don't know where in the folder structure it is in Trimble Connect. They don't have any clue about any of this stuff, but they really do care about the height of that panel, right? Or the height of a bridge or the clearance or something like that, right? Whatever that might be. Through one click, one link, you've taken them to exactly what you want them to see with the real world data, but then they can go in and do their inspection and look around and do all these other things with that data if they wanted to, right? So it's really expanding the value, making it really as easy as possible to share that data, okay? So I'm going to take one step back and jump out just a little bit to a higher view here and show the platform itself. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with Trimble Connect today, this is Trimble Connect, right? So we've got our data browser, our various projects. Think of it very much just like your typical cloud storage platform, right? In terms of how we enable you to structure data and a variety of things, but it does so much more. Okay, so this is the Reality Capture extension that we've built into Trimble Connect. Right, so it kind of gives you a more focused view of your data, of your field data here, of the scan data sets that we've got. If you're a first-time user, I highly recommend clicking on this guided tour button. So if you go after this webinar today and you're really jazzed and excited and want to go try it out for yourself, all you have to do is open a project, go into the settings, extensions, turn on Reality Capture. That's as easy as it is. Toggle that button, and then you'll see this little extension icon pop up, and you'll be able to jump in and see that you've got up to 10 gigabytes if you're on a free preview here. Again, Gregor called out a good point. This will only work if you have an active paid subscription of Trimble Connect, but that will work for anybody, okay? So once you get in here, highly recommend clicking on the guided tour button. That's going to walk you through all the features and all the buttons and all the different things. We'll do a kind of high level of that today, though. So in here, I've got my typical kind of organization view. So I can see, the various scans that I've got. I can see who uploaded the data. I can see when they uploaded it. I can see the file size. I can see, any tags, right? For instance, we've got some different things like this one has an alignment. This one has a model. This one's from a mobile mapper, whatever that might be. And I can then filter based on those tags. So I can really kind of help organize myself. And why that's valuable is because it's not, when we come into Reality Capture, it's not just about one project to one scan or one project to one data set, right? This is actually giving me a view of my data across a variety of different locations, right? So I can even go on a map and see all of these different places in the world that have georeferenced data. So I can see that I've got a mobile mapping scan down here in Toronto. I can see that I've got a variety of data sets over here in the UK. And, if I zoom in, let's say, and come down, I can actually see the working footprint of where that project was. So in here, I've got this data set and I can actually see the scope of work, right? Super valuable when I've got maybe a variety of infrastructure projects or corridors or scans in different areas across the city. Maybe I'm going back to an area that I've been to before and I think, hey, you know what? I think I might actually have some of that data already. I can go and see based on that map where it is instead of just my, file name and folder structure. So giving a variety of different ways to organize yourself and really make that as easy as possible to see the data. So when I jump in and I click on that data set, I get this fancy little thumbnail preview. So I can kind of get a sense of, hey, is this the data set that I was thinking it is? Yes, no, maybe it is. So this is a fun little tool to be able to kind of preview that data. But then I also get all of the metadata. So I can see, when it was uploaded, by who, what type of device, how many stations are present. I can see the number of points. I can see if it's classified or not, all of this type of information, okay? I can add tags if I want to. I can remove the tags, but I can see them as well. And then again, if I've classified that data through that TBC workflow, I can see a histogram of my classes. So it gives me a sense of what I'm looking at. Really helpful just to kind of hone in and see exactly what I'm looking at here in the data set. I can download that data, obviously if I have the right permissions, and I can do a variety of different things here. So if I want to click into that, it's as simple as clicking view in 3D. And now that'll load up in just a second. Move my guy over here again. Awesome. So here's our extension. Just takes a couple seconds to load here. And then you can see that that data is just coming up, and there you go. So now I'm jumped into that 3D space, right? So it's as simple as that. And here I can see this example data set that I've got. One thing I wanted to highlight, right? When you're taking those panoramic images, the station views that Albert was showing, you can also jump in and see them here in the web. Okay, so what that kind of workflow that Albert was showing, we can actually replicate that here in Trimble Connect. So again, I find that these station views are actually probably one of the most intuitive and simple ways to share data, especially with people who don't really understand the point cloud. And it can be a bit difficult to kind of orbit and navigate around a point cloud sometimes for people who've never done it. So I find that this kind of emulates almost like a Google Street View experience for a lot of people, and it's pretty intuitive for those types of stakeholders. So again, if I wanted to, let's say, take a measurement of the bridge here, I can jump in and take a measurement there, and then I want to come down. Whoops, click too quick. We will just come back to let's take a measurement there. If I hold shift, by the way, that's kind of what I was doing there. That'll take that straight vertical measurement. So just a little tip there. I'm just holding shift on my keyboard, and that's how I'm getting that vertical measurement. You see, that's why there's this reference point over here. So now if I wanted to share this view again, right, with a client, I could go in and even turn off the point cloud if I wanted to. And I've still got that measurement live. Okay, so I've got my measurement. I'm really just looking at a photo. And again, I can tag a view just the same way I did before. So I'll go click view, share that with a client. And when they jump in, again, exact same thing I showed before, they'll jump straight into what I want them to see. In this case, they're going to jump into a 360 photo, right? So they don't even have that kind of experience of the point cloud and those types of things. They're just going to jump straight into exactly what I want them to see. It's a little bit maybe more limited, so I can really hone in and kind of put boundary boxes around what I want that client to see, so I can make it as easy and intuitive as possible. I am noticing a couple questions, so I might try and answer what I can here real quick. So one from Peter, comprehensive tutorials. We are uploading videos on our YouTube channel. So we actually already have a couple tutorials around uploading data, setting up your account, kind of the basics. And we'll have more to come that are really going to dive into, taking measurements, sharing to-dos, topics, those types of things. So keep an eye out on our YouTube channels, and we'll share those socially as well. And then, of course, I always recommend reaching out to your local building point partner, your local Trimble geospatial distributor. They have so much in-depth knowledge on this as well, and can really provide more tailored custom training for your organization as well. So just kind of keep those options in mind. Another one, plan for classification directly in the web. Yeah, so this is, the platform that we're showing here is obviously our first release. So it's really all about the collaboration piece. The next step is obviously going to be getting into the analytics, the insights, the segmentation, those types of things directly in the web. That'll be coming, in due course over time here. Admin access. Is there a way to organize administration access to get all uploaded projects through basic feature without needing to be invited to all the projects or orgs? Sometimes takes weeks. Yeah, the organization, I think you can actually set up groups and kind of have templated groups, so you can kind of make that setup process easier over time. But that one is a good one for us to dive into a little bit more, Tony. So maybe you can follow up with an email and we can make sure we get a more detailed answer. But I do believe that there's a way to kind of template your user structures and kind of use that to kind of, help you into the next projects. The one thing I didn't show is you can set up different user groups with different permissions. So I think there's a kind of way to bring that across. But maybe if you wouldn't mind following up with an email, Tony, we can make sure we get a more detailed answer. Gregor, it looks like you might have something to add.
Yeah, there is a newly released feature in Trimble Connect for account administration that gives you an overview of all the accounts and all the projects and all the members of all the projects in your account. So it is in the Trimble Connect capability. But that's
Perfect.
a
Thanks,
new
Gregor.
feature.
Perfect. So I'm talking ahead of time here. Perfect. Okay, cool. And then I'm seeing a couple other ones that I'll just quickly answer here and knock off, and then we'll kind of go back to the demo. Peter, again, the YouTube channel, sorry, I'll clarify, Trimble Geospatial. So if you go to YouTube, Trimble Geospatial, you'll actually see a playlist for the Reality Capture platform service. We have a few videos already up there, both around the tutorials that I talked about, but then also a bit of the kind of high level demo that I'm giving right now as well. Anka from SketchUp can be integrated. Yes, of course. Revit is the question. Can Revit be integrated? 1000%. Yes. So Trimble Connect supports pretty much any type of BIM format you can imagine, right? There's, if you go to the Trimble Connect website, you'll see the actual list of everything we support. But off the top of my head, it's kind of everything you would need, right? DWG, XML, DXF, IFC, Revit, Navisworks, SketchUp, Tekla, you know, as many things as I can imagine. So definitely recommend going onto the Trimble Connect website to get more details. But yes, we support kind of all of those standard formats. So for Trimble Connect, you need what type of subscription of Trimble Connect you need is a good question. You need at least Trimble Business, right? So there's Trimble Free, there's Trimble Business, Trimble Connect Free, Trimble Connect Business, and then Trimble Connect Business Premium. You need at least Trimble Connect Business. Okay, so just wanted to kind of highlight that. The difference between business and business premium is a variety of kind of more in-depth features. So things like your BCF topics, your annotations, some of the more kind of automated workflows and data outputs and extensibility. The premium certainly has more functionality. The one key thing that I'll note here, though, is that anybody with an active subscription to Trimble Access, to Trimble Field Link, to Trimble Business Center has Trimble Connect Business Premium as a part of their subscription today. Okay, so if you have an existing subscription to TBC, Trimble Access, or Field Link, you already have Trimble Connect Business Premium. Okay, so just want to call that out. Highly recommend double checking if that's what you've got so that you can jump in here and start working on those workflows. Okay, so I'm going to jump ahead and show a few more things. I just love showing off the platform, so I could talk all day, but I'll try and wrap it up, make sure we get some more questions and anything else we want to show. I just like to show this example. This comes from a customer actually out of Switzerland. He's an MEP contractor. So he's got all of his designs for the model. It's kind of, you know, I've dumbed it down a little bit just to help showcase the example. There's obviously a lot more components, configurations in the real demo, or in the real model, but I like to show it down. Break it down just for the visual side of things so it's not totally crowded, but you can see really performant, really running easily here. This is, you know, I think 20 billion points in this point cloud of this MEP project. So I can come in, I can see my model, I can see my reality capture data, I can see my layout data all in one place. And so really kind of providing that holistic picture of what's going on out in the field here. I can come in and apply my clip plans to that data so I can really narrow in my view of exactly what I want to see. So again, a wide range of tools here on what I want to be able to do when it comes to that viewing, collaboration, tagging data, sharing data back and forth. So really kind of creating that all-in-one place in the web here to share all of your data. The other thing that I like to show, Kyle kind of called it out in a comment, right? I think somebody was asking what's the file size limit, those types of things. There is no file size limit as far as I'm aware in terms of uploading that data. It's really about your bandwidth and your internet connectivity. And then of course, the storage that you have on your license, right? So that's one key thing to call out. The way that this is licensed is by storage. So we offer in increments of terabytes. And so, you know, the real limit there is your internet and your storage on your license. Okay. So in this case, I've got a mobile mapping data set. I think this is a 30 gig data set. So pretty small when it comes to mobile mapping standards, to be honest, but again, super performant. If any of you were at the Reality Capture Network conference in Boise, Idaho, just a few months ago, you'll see that this is actually the exact demo we were giving on the booth, but on my iPad. Right. So the best part about this being in the web is that it doesn't matter what type of a hardware you're on, what type of device you're on, you're going to get that same kind of performance as you go to a variety of different things. It's not GPU based, CPU based. It's leveraging that web platform. So really enables you to get more people using more devices access to it. That was a key thing for us, right? Especially knowing that a lot more people in our industry these days have tablets out in the field now for safety, for documenting, for daily logs, those types of things. This is a great way to make even more use out of those tablets out in the field and get more people access wherever they are. So in this case, again, right, I've got my mobile mapping data set, beautiful data set of this infrastructure. And again, I always just love to show because I feel like this is magic. I've got it classified from TBC. And in this case, we were actually using the deep learning kind of AI-driven segmentation tools that the team has been building out for these mobile mapping road workflows. So in this case, again, I can go and turn off all those cars. And now this is a much more pretty data set to look at, right? I can turn off the vegetation and really zero in on, what it is that I want to see. I just think that's such a beautiful example. And then finally, before I kind of pass it on, we've got a variety of different data sources supported as well here, right? So this is a drone data set that we captured at our Dimensions offsite location back in November. So again, doesn't need to be a Trimble hardware, doesn't need to be Trimble software even. This is captured from a UAV data set that was processed then using the photogrammetry module in TBC. So that data flowed straight through. And again, all that information classified. I just really think this is such a powerful workflow to be able to show, what you're able to bring into the cloud here and really, drive that collaboration and get the value out of those TBC workflows to more people. I think that's such an important thing to be able to notice here, is that you're able to share that out with more people. So with that, I will pause it for now and would be open to answering any more questions or handing it back here to Albert to carry on with the presentation.
Thanks, Nathan. Let's quickly share that out. So basically all we're waiting for now is Q&A side. So guys, if you have any questions, let's see if anything pops up. Nathan, Gregor, jump in, answer what you would like to answer on that side.
Yeah, appreciate the positive feedback. We're really excited to get this out there. So thanks, Anton. Certainly been seeing some really good feedback of how this is already kind of working in the field, but always keen to see more comments come through. Yeah, definitely agree, Marco, in terms of talking about classification and TBC, getting that into the cloud enables us to do a variety of different things. You're absolutely right. It's just a matter of getting that up in the right way. At Trimble, we really do hold ourselves to that standard of fidelity, trust, accuracy. So that's kind of why we're really making sure that as we progress with that, we're doing those things the right way. Because to us, it doesn't matter if you're in the cloud or in a desktop application that has to produce results that you trust, that are reliable, that you're going to be able to go and provide to a client. So yeah, definitely agree with you. But that's kind of why we're making sure we kind of go about it the right way, right? Yeah, so good question from Brock there. Just want to clarify, right? The question is, does the Reality Capture platform service in Connect do the UAV processing itself, or does it only kind of handle and visualize the data? Today, it's about visualization. So you would still go do that UAV processing in TBC or whatever other solution you're using today, and then upload that to Trimble Connect, right? So again, that's another place where I think we can explore down the line of what we would bring into the web itself to expand on cloud computing and be able to be more performant. But again, we're really honing in on just how do we ensure that fidelity and the quality of the data. So that's kind of what we're doing there. Okay. Love that question, Chad, about Connect AR. So that's actually one thing I did not show. Maybe if I get 2 seconds and I can find it, I'll bring it back up, but I won't waste time here. So question about how Trimble Connect AR, so in other words, Sight Vision, Connect AR, Sight Vision, very similar applications, ties into all of this. So you'll know, obviously, through those mobile applications, we can support the iOS LiDAR scanning. So if you're using, an iPhone Pro, an iPad Pro, you can actually go in and capture a scan with that device. That data comes into Reality Capture as well. It doesn't matter if you're using those apps, it actually automatically syncs straight to Trimble Connect for you. So if you've scanned a QR code, you're aligned to the model, visualizing that data in Connect AR, the scan that you take comes in automatically georeferenced to your model as well. And that's the example I'm trying to bring up if I can in the right time here. So really, really powerful workflow there that especially brings that into more people's hands out in the field. You just need an iPhone to be able to capture some simple data. So I love that workflow. So yeah, triceps access, Trimble Reality Capture access. Good question, Mel. Just to clarify, obviously Reality Capture itself is only available via a volume-based subscription. So, work with your local partner to kind of really dive into the details in terms of, how much you actually need to solve your problem, right? We really want to approach it from a consultative approach. But yeah, just to clarify there, the platform service itself is only available via a volume-based subscription. And similarly, Trimble Connect is also only available via subscription as well. So as I mentioned, though, if you have an existing TBC, Trimble Access, or FieldLink subscription, you'll have that Business Premium Connect subscription as a part of it. And then if you want to do it, from there, you can always tack on a Trimble Connect subscription on top of your existing, Trimble Access perpetual license or those types of things. You can just kind of get that separately. But yeah, appreciate the question there, Mel. Yeah, so Kevin asking a good question. Once the project's complete, can we download the data and remove it from our volume? Yep, you absolutely can. You can download that data. You can keep it in Trimble Connect. So there's kind of a difference here between like the Connect data browser, so where you would store your models and those types of things, versus the storage that's taking up the visualization. So basically, when you actually tile that data, that's what goes against your quota, your storage, right? So if you have a terabyte of storage, you've got data uploaded to Trimble Connect, and then you tile that data, let's say it's a 5 gigabyte file. Once you tile the data, that 5 gigabytes has counted against your 1 terabyte quota. If the project closes out, you don't want that data on the books, but you still want it stored in the cloud, you can simply, remove that from your Reality Capture extension. That'll keep it in Trimble Connect, and you'll be able to kind of free up that space. Or you can simply download the data if you've kind of gone through the TBC workflow. That data is just in the Reality Capture extension. So just to be clear, you can download that data if you want. But honestly, we don't really recommend that. We want that fidelity. It's easier for you to keep that data up in the cloud. And we're working on, a variety of different cold storage options that'll really help you kind of minimize that friction. So we don't have that available just yet, but the plan is to get that out ASAP. And so what that would be is kind of, if you're familiar with the concept of cold versus hot storage. I don't actually know what the live version is called. Anyway, the cold storage is kind of like it's saved in the background, and if you would want to bring it back to visualize, you would need to kind of move it across. But the value there is that we'll have some different pricing, lower pricing for the cold storage that you kind of just want to have on archive. So that's really what we recommend, not the upload, download, delete, workflow, just because we want to keep the fidelity. You want to keep that single source of truth, and you're not going to get the value if you're uploading, downloading, right? So that's kind of what we definitely recommend. So many questions here that we can't get to all of them, so we will definitely be following up, Albert, to make sure that we get anything else.
Yeah, I think you got another 2 minutes. Maybe take 1 or 2 more questions, Nathan, and we can wrap it up.
There was a good one in our private chat about the compute power of the clients, and that really is one where you can get by with either handheld iPhone, iPad, or use a top-notch computer, and it still will stream your data quite performant. So you're not as reliant on high-end compute as you would be on a desktop application.
Yep, absolutely. Awesome. So I do see just a couple other questions around like the Sight Vision Connect AR workflow. So just want to clarify the data there is that you need an iPhone Pro or an iPad Pro. The Pro models of those devices have the LiDAR scanner. You can kind of see that there. It's this kind of extra little circle on your phone by the cameras. If you have that, that means you have the LiDAR sensor. So all you'll need is obviously an active subscription to Sight Vision or Connect AR, and then you can go and capture those scans. I believe, Albert, that there was a Power Hour previously on the topic of Sight Vision and Connect AR, so there may be some information there. If not, we have, again, on our YouTube channel, If you go to the Trimble Geospatial channel, there's videos on site vision, or even the Trimble building construction YouTube channel. There's a playlist on Connect AR all about how to capture those scans. So a lot more detail about exactly how to do that. But like I said, those workflows, the data syncs straight back into Trimble Connect for you to visualize.
Great, Nathan, thanks. I think we'll stop it there just to get through the last bit. Thank you so much for that. Guys, if we haven't gotten around to your question, we do have all this captured, so we will reach out to you in email. As Nathan started pointing out to resources, so if you want to find anything relating to previous webinars, there is the Power Hour button in your support tab in TBC. If you click on that, that will take you directly to the web page where all the TBC Power Hours are listed. We started in 2016, I think it is. Each one of them are listed there. So there was one done, I think it was in May last year, related to Sight Vision. So go back there if you want to see what Sight Vision is about and how it links into TBC. That one you will be able to find there. The YouTube channel sits over there as well, so you can get into the Survey and Construction YouTube channel if you're looking for any of the YouTube videos and playlists in there. You can find it over there. The tutorials is in there, e-learning is in there, so if you want to try out any of the workflows or if you want to see a little bit more about TBC. One thing that I just wanted to mention, that scan to publish, I think somebody asked the question about where did the data come from. So yes, the data that I showed in TBC was captured in Trimble Access. That was then uploaded into Trimble Connect via that direct link there, and then I just downloaded the data from there. So that was captured in the field in the Trimble Access, uploaded, and then I just downloaded the data directly from Trimble Connect. So that's just to clarify that. And then on the publish side, you can drag and drop most of the stuff directly into Trimble Connect, into the web. If you have a LAS file, a E57 file, the only thing at the moment that you cannot do, and the only thing that TBC allows you to do, is to publish the panos. So if you have a SX or X series scanner and you would like to publish those panos that you can actually view the images that was taken, that is the only way to do it at the moment, is through that publish through TBC. So just take note of that. If you want to publish those images that was taken with your X or SX series instrument, you have to publish it through TBC to get it into Trimble Connect and the Reality Capture platform. If you want to test out any of this in TBC itself, there is still a 30-day free subscription trial license available that you can get in on the website, so you can test out all the capabilities in TBC, not just the basics, but everything else. And then on the web page, the TBC resources PDF, that gives you anything and everything relating to TBC, links to all the documentation, all the videos, everything in their specific workflows. That document is, I can't remember how many pages, but it's a lot of pages in there, but that's a great resource if you're looking for anything relevant to TBC. And that brings it to the end. Nathan, any last comments from your side?
No, just really appreciate the time here, Albert. Thanks for letting us to come in and talk about the platform service. And thanks everybody for sticking on the call. I know it was a long one today. So much stuff to cover and obviously so many questions. So really appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we'll make sure that we follow up with more information to anybody we weren't able to answer today. But yeah, appreciate all of you for joining.
Thanks so much, Nathan, Kyle, Gregor, thank you as much. And everyone, we appreciate your time. Thanks for being with us. We'll get back to you on the questions we didn't get around to. This Power Hour will probably be uploaded in the next day or two, so you should be able to find it in the Power Hour webpage if you want to revisit this. Thank you so much for your time, appreciate it, and then we'll catch up with you guys in the next Power Hour. That'll be end of February. So appreciate the time. Thank you. Have a good afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you might be, and we'll catch you in the next hour. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.